Texas, with its vast plains, deserts, and mountainous terrains, is not only famous for its prosperity and development but also for the mysterious atmosphere shrouded in ghostly tales. The supernatural legends hidden in the nooks and crannies of ancient buildings and the unresolved mysteries of historical sites create a Texas that captivates not only tourists but also adventurers curious about the otherworldly realm. The Curse of Maxdale Iron Bridge. Maxdale Iron Bridge, an iconic landmark of Killeen, Texas, is not just an old-fashioned bridge but also a witness to countless tragedies and losses throughout its long history. Built in the late 19th century, the Maxdale Bridge was once a crucial part of the main road leading into the town. Today, it stands as a relic, with its rusty iron beams and wooden planks warped over time. However, its dilapidated and eerie appearance is not the only reason it has gained notoriety. The Maxdale Bridge is also infamous for the legend of cursed souls haunting the area. The terrifying legend, according to local lore, many years ago, a young man hanged himself on the bridge after losing his beloved in a nearby car accident. The immense pain of his loss drove him to the brink, leaving him no choice but to end his life. His spirit is said to wander around Maxdale Bridge, unable to find peace. Those brave enough to visit the bridge at night often recount seeing the shadowy figure of a man hanging suspended in midair or feeling an icy breeze as they walk across the bridge. One fateful night, a group of friends decided to test this legend by visiting Maxdale Bridge. They arrived just after midnight, the time when the legend claimed the screams would be the loudest. The old iron beams creaked under their feet, and the wooden planks groaned ominously. As they stepped out of their car, they immediately felt an oppressive atmosphere enveloping them. As they moved toward the center of the bridge, anxiety built with each step. The excitement nearly silenced their conversation. The air grew so still that only the sound of the wind and falling leaves could be heard. Strange noises. Suddenly, one of them heard footsteps behind. Turning around, they found no one there. Instead, they heard a faint moaning sound, as if someone were in pain. They shone their flashlights everywhere but saw only dense darkness. Without warning, a dark shadow appeared right in the middle of the bridge, hovering in the air, his legs swaying as if he were hanging by his neck. Panicked, the group hurried back to their car, but the dark shadow remained motionless, silently watching them. As they started the car and sped away, a moaning sound echoed from behind, as if someone were crying out in agony. Looking in the rearview mirror, they still saw the dark shadow standing in the middle of the bridge, his empty eyes staring as they fled out of sight. They couldn't comprehend why a deceased person could instill such fear in them. A frightening atmosphere. Since that night, anyone visiting Maxdale Bridge feels an oppressive atmosphere surrounding them. Some people report seeing faint, ghostly figures gliding through the dark night, while others hear eerie laughter echoing from the nearby trees. These phenomena have attracted the attention of many locals and tourists eager to uncover the truth. The story of Maxdale Bridge's curse has become an integral part of local culture, piquing the curiosity of many who wish to witness these mysterious occurrences firsthand. Many believe that if you visit the bridge at exactly midnight and whisper the name of the man who hanged himself, you might receive a response from his spirit. Some have tried and experienced strange things happening, but not everyone dares to face this. Those who have had close encounters with Maxdale Bridge often carry an inexplicable fear. A warning to the brave explorers. The tale of Maxdale Bridge's curse continues to send shivers down the spines of many. Those who dare to visit at night are warned to respect the souls that have passed, for they might be watching from the darkness, seeking the release they can never attain. As night falls, Maxdale Bridge becomes eerily silent and more terrifying than ever, filled with the painful memories of a time long gone. Over the years, Maxdale Bridge has become a popular destination for ghost story enthusiasts. Many have visited the bridge not only to explore but also to experience the thrill and chills it offers. For those who believe in the supernatural, Maxdale Bridge provides an atmosphere full of mystery and allure. However, many visitors come purely out of curiosity, skeptical of the ghostly tales. They think it's all just folklore. But after experiencing inexplicable sensations, they often leave with a sense of bewilderment and even regret for having stepped foot on the bridge. Many have stated that they would never dare to return to Maxdale Bridge after what they experienced. Conclusion: a mysterious place. Maxdale Iron Bridge is not just an old bridge, it is a place filled with tragic stories, lingering spirits, and mysterious legends. Those who dare to visit must prepare themselves for what they might encounter. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, Maxdale Bridge remains a place that offers unforgettable and eerie experiences. The bridge stands as a testament to the sorrowful events that transpired there, with haunted souls that continue to wander its grounds. For those who brave the visit, Maxdale Bridge offers more than just a scenic crossing over a rusty iron river. It provides a glimpse into a world beyond our understanding, where tragedy and the supernatural intertwine to create a legacy of fear and fascination. As the sun sets and darkness envelops the bridge once more, the legends of Maxdale Bridge thrive, ensuring that Killeen's most haunted landmark remains a source of intrigue and terror for years to come. The Curse of Blue Light Cemetery. Blue Light Cemetery, located in Lancaster, Texas, is a small, isolated burial ground that has gained notoriety for a strange phenomenon: eerie blue lights appearing over the graves at night. This phenomenon has never been clearly explained, making the cemetery one of the most haunted destinations in the state. The legend of the blue light. According to legend, the blue light is the spirit of a woman who was buried in this cemetery many years ago. She was accused of witchcraft and was hanged by an angry mob right on the grounds of the cemetery. Her body was buried in an unmarked grave, and her soul, unable to find peace, transformed into a blue light that haunts the cemetery, seeking revenge on those who wronged her. A night of exploration. One night, a group of friends, Alex, Jenna, Mark, and Lisa, decided to visit the cemetery. Drawn in by the stories of the mysterious blue light, they arrived just before midnight, their flashlights cutting through the thick darkness. As they ventured deeper into the cemetery, an uneasy feeling began to envelop them. The air grew heavy with the smell of decay, and an eerie silence settled around them. Suddenly, Mark shouted, "Look over there." They saw a faint blue light hovering over one of the graves. The light grew brighter, casting an ethereal glow on the surrounding tombstones. The group watched intently as the light began to move, weaving between the gravestones as if searching for something. A frightening encounter. Feeling a mix of excitement and fear, they started to back away, but as they turned to leave, the blue light suddenly surged toward them at incredible speed. Panic set in, and they sprinted toward their car, the blue light trailing closely behind until they reached the cemetery gate. As they drove away, they glanced in the rearview mirror and saw the blue light slowly fading into the night. The group sat in silence, their minds racing with the terrifying encounter. "Did you really see that?" Jenna whispered, still shaken. "I can't believe we actually encountered it." The legend spreads. The Curse of Blue Light Cemetery became one of the most famous ghost stories in Texas. The next day, they shared their experience with friends, and the story quickly spread, attracting more thrill seekers to explore. Many people visited the cemetery, hoping to catch a glimpse of the blue light. Some claimed to feel the presence of something unexplainable, while others heard whispers and faint laughter echoing through the darkness. The story of the blue light began to weave itself deeper into local folklore, creating an irresistible allure for those curious about the supernatural. A haunting legacy. As time went on, the tales of Blue Light Cemetery continued to thrive in the hearts of locals. Parents often warned their children about the strange happenings at the cemetery, and the story of the girls' cries was passed down from generation to generation. Every time someone dared to stroll through the cemetery at night, they felt as though they were being watched or heard sorrowful echoes in the air. These stories only added to the mystique of the place, making it one of the most haunted locations in Texas. Ultimately, Blue Light Cemetery has become a must-visit site for those who love to explore the mysterious and seek supernatural experiences. The spirits continue to roam, waiting for those brave enough to come close and listen to their stories. Here, pain and loss will never be forgotten. The Curse of Dripping Springs Cemetery. Nestled in the small town of Dripping Springs, Texas, lies a cemetery shrouded in mystery and dread. a cursed burial ground that has become the source of many eerie events over the years. The Dripping Springs Cemetery is believed to be haunted by the souls of those interred there, many of whom met tragic or mysterious ends. The tragic legend of the young girl. Among the restless spirits, the most famous is that of a young girl who died under suspicious circumstances in the early 1900s. According to legend, she was the daughter of a wealthy landowner who disapproved of her love for a young man. When she refused to abandon her beloved, her father ordered the boy's death and arranged for his daughter to be taken far away. Heartbroken and devastated, the girl took her own life, and since that fateful day, her spirit has been unable to find peace, forever searching for her lost love. Visitors to the cemetery have reported sightings of a shadowy figure, a woman in a long dress gliding between the gravestones, or hearing faint cries echoing through the trees. Her tragic tale has captured the imaginations of those brave enough to visit the site, drawing them in with the allure of the supernatural. A night of exploration. One fateful night, a group of teenagers, fueled by curiosity and the thrill of the unknown, decided to visit the Dripping Springs Cemetery, hoping to catch a glimpse of the famous ghost. They arrived just after midnight, their flashlights illuminating the eerie shadows on the ground as they made their way into the graveyard. As they ventured deeper into the cemetery, a sense of unease settled over the group. The wind howled through the trees, and the sound of rustling leaves created a haunting melody that echoed around them. Each step they took seemed to stir the spirits that lingered in the dark. Suddenly, one of the friends, Jake, froze in place. "Guys, over there," he whispered, pointing toward a distant grave. The group turned to see a faint figure, a woman in a flowing dress standing beside a tombstone. Her face pale and emotionless, eyes filled with sorrow. The ghostly encounter. The teenagers stood frozen, entranced by the apparition before them. The woman began to move slowly toward them, her footsteps silent but deliberate. They could hear her sobs, soft at first, but growing louder as she approached. The sorrow in her voice pierced the stillness of the night, sending chills down their spines. Panic surged through the group. Without a word, they turned on their heels and sprinted towards the exit. Not daring to look back, they raced through the graveyard, their hearts pounding in their chests, adrenaline fueling their flight. As they reached the gates, they glanced back, and there she was, the ghostly figure standing at the entrance, watching them with her mournful eyes. The haunting legacy. The legend of the Dripping Springs Cemetery continues to be a source of fear and fascination for those who dare to visit. The spirit of the young girl remains trapped within the cemetery, her sorrow and despair forever linked to the place that witnessed her tragic fate. In the days that followed their encounter, the group couldn't shake the feeling of the girl's presence. They shared their experience with friends, igniting a new wave of interest in the haunted cemetery. Stories began to circulate, drawing more thrill seekers and ghost hunters eager to experience the supernatural for themselves. A community's fear. As word spread about the encounters at Dripping Springs Cemetery, local residents began to recount their own eerie experiences. They spoke of cold drafts sweeping through their homes, unexplained noises in the night, and the sensation of being watched. Some even claimed to have seen the apparition of the girl, her forlorn figure wandering the cemetery, forever searching for her lost love. Many began to leave flowers at the young girl's grave, hoping to appease her restless spirit and show their respect for the tragic life she had led. Ghost tours began to emerge, with guides leading curious visitors through the cemetery, recounting tales of the haunted past. A timeless tragedy. Each visit to the cemetery serves as a reminder of the sorrow that lingers in the air. The tale of the young girl and her lost love resonates deeply with those who hear it, evoking feelings of empathy and fear. As the sun sets and shadows stretch across the gravestones, the atmosphere grows heavy with anticipation. The cemetery stands as a testament to the lives once lived and the spirits that remain, with the ghost of the young girl eternally wandering, seeking solace and closure. Conclusion. The curse of Dripping Springs Cemetery continues to haunt the town, a chilling reminder that some stories never truly fade away. The echoes of the past linger in the air, and the spirits of those who once walked the land still roam, leaving their mark on the living. For those who dare to venture into the cemetery, the legend serves as both a thrill and a warning, a call to acknowledge the shadows of history that continue to shape the present. the spirit of the young girl will forever remain a part of Dripping Springs. Her story etched into the hearts of those who hear her tale. A poignant reminder of love, loss, and the search for peace that transcends time. The Curse of Lady Liar. San Antonio, Texas, is not only famous for its rich history and culture but also for its hidden mysteries and terrifying legends. One of the most chilling tales is that of Lady Liar, a wandering soul that has haunted locals for generations. The legend of her is not just a story, it serves as a warning for those daring enough to explore the woods near Elm Creek. The origin of tragedy. The story begins many years ago when a woman lived with her husband and 2 small children on a small farm outside the city. They led a simple yet happy life, tending to their crops and nurturing their family with love. However, their peace was short-lived when a wealthy man from the city came seeking to acquire their land. He arrived at their home, dressed in a fine suit with sweet words, offering to buy their piece of property. The family refused, determined to protect what they called home. This refusal ignited the man's fury. In his rage, he set their home ablaze, trapping the woman and her 2 children inside. Their cries for help echoed in the night, but no one came to their aid. When the flames finally died down, only ashes remained, and the pain was beyond words. The woman was fortunate to survive, but the price she paid was horrific. Her face was burned and distorted, her features now grotesque, resembling that of a donkey. Overwhelmed by pain and fury, she fled into the woods near Elm Creek, where it is said she became a vengeful spirit, determined to exact revenge on those who had caused her and her family such suffering. The appearance of Lady Liar. Since then, those who have encountered Lady Liar describe her as a horrifying figure. She appears as a woman, but her face resembles that of a donkey, her red eyes filled with unquenchable hatred. People say she roams the woods at night, her sorrowful wails echoing through the trees, causing anyone who hears them to feel chills down their spine. There are rumors that she can be summoned by driving to the bridge crossing Elm Creek and calling her name. The tales of Lady Liar have become a subject of fascination for many young people, eager for thrills and mysterious experiences. But no one truly understands the depth of her pain and the rage she carries. The fateful night. One night, a group of 5 friends decided to challenge this legend. They were college students, full of enthusiasm and skepticism about ghost stories. They drove to the bridge, excited and hopeful for an unforgettable experience. When they parked, the only sounds were the chirping of crickets and the rustling leaves in the wind. The atmosphere gradually thickened, as if the space was waiting for something terrifying to happen. After a few minutes of waiting, one person in the group loudly challenged Lady Liar to appear. "If you are Lady Liar, show yourself," he shouted defiantly. At first, only silence enveloped them, but then they heard it, a strange moaning sound, as if someone was suffering in the darkness. Then came the sound of something heavy moving in the bushes. The air thickened with the smell of burnt flesh, and the group began to feel an overwhelming sense of fear rising. Suddenly, the trees around them began to shake, and a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Lady Liar, her distorted face illuminated by the headlights of the car. She let out a blood-curdling scream, a sound filled with anguish and hatred, and rushed straight toward the vehicle, her claw-like hands reaching out as if to grab them. The friends panicked, quickly starting the car and speeding away. But the screams of Lady Liar echoed in their ears as they fled. An indelible nightmare. As they drove back, the horrifying images remained vivid in their minds. The chilling feeling and rising terror were unforgettable, and they could not erase the look of sheer wrath in Lady Liar's eyes. The group swore they would never return to the bridge, and they began warning others to stay away from this cursed place. They did not want to become the next victims of Lady Liar's wrath. But the story of Lady Liar did not end with them. Many others began to experiment with this legend, and some mysteriously disappeared without a trace. Locals started organizing gatherings to share their encounters with Lady Liar, each retelling filled with pure fear. Years later, Lady Liar remains one of the most infamous ghost legends in San Antonio. Survivors of encounters with her passed down their stories, serving as a warning for those who dared to intrude on her territory. The lost souls and unquenchable pain of Lady Liar continue to haunt not only the locals but also chill the spines of many tourists who hear her name. Lady Liar still wanders the woods, waiting for those brave enough to challenge her. She is not just a legend, she is an obsession. A reminder that not everything forgotten can be easily forgiven. Those who dare to defy her will face the fury of a tormented soul. And the story of her will continue to live on in the hearts of those who have felt the horror of Lady Liar's curse. The Curse of Spaghetti Warehouse. Spaghetti Warehouse in Houston, Texas, is famous for its delicious Italian dishes and its classic ambiance. But it is also known for something much more frightening, the ghostly presence of a woman said to haunt the building. The story goes that this site was once a pharmacy where a tragic accident occurred. A pharmacist fell into an empty elevator shaft and lost his life, leaving behind a grieving wife. The wife, heartbroken and unable to bear the pain of losing her husband, died of grief shortly thereafter. Her spirit, unable to find peace, is said to haunt the Spaghetti Warehouse, forever searching for her lost husband. Staff and patrons at the restaurant have reported numerous supernatural phenomena, from moving glasses to sudden cold spots appearing throughout the building. However, the most commonly seen apparition is that of a woman in a long dress, wandering on the upper floor of the establishment. A night of haunting. One night, a waitress named Lisa was cleaning up the restaurant when she heard footsteps on the second floor. Thinking it was a coworker who had stayed behind, she called out, but there was no response. Climbing the stairs, she found the upper floor completely empty. Just as she was about to turn back, she caught a glimpse of a woman in a dark, flowing dress standing by the window. Gazing out into the night, Lisa froze, her heart racing in her chest. The woman slowly turned to face her, and their eyes met. In that moment, Lisa felt an overwhelming sadness emanating from the woman, a deep sorrow that filled the room. Then, as suddenly as she had appeared, the woman vanished, leaving Lisa alone in the dark room. An unforgettable encounter. After that encounter, Lisa no longer wanted to work late at the restaurant. Every time she heard a noise, she jumped, feeling as if someone were watching her. Other colleagues began to share their own stories of strange occurrences, from whispers to faint laughter, and even sightings of the ghostly woman. Some of the employees decided to investigate the history of the restaurant and discovered the story of the grieving wife. They realized that the strange phenomena they had experienced might be related to the restless spirit. A quest for the truth. They began an exploration to uncover the truth behind the hauntings. One night, they decided to return to Spaghetti Warehouse, equipped with cameras and audio recording devices, hoping to capture any paranormal activity. As they stepped into the restaurant, the atmosphere thickened with tension. They moved through each corner, shining their flashlights on the old walls, eager to find any signs of the spirit. Suddenly, a cold breeze swept through, and they heard faint whispers that seemed to swirl around them, echoing the anguish of the lost souls. A terrifying experience. Then, one of them, a guy named John, shouted, "I see her." He pointed toward a corner of the room, where the figure of the woman appeared. The group stood frozen, wide-eyed, unable to breathe. The woman gazed at them, her eyes hollow yet filled with profound sadness. In a moment, they all felt the deep sorrow she carried, a weight that pressed down on their hearts. Then, just like smoke, she vanished, leaving the group stunned in the dim light. The ghostly legacy. After that night, stories of the ghostly woman at Spaghetti Warehouse spread quickly, attracting many thrill seekers and paranormal enthusiasts eager to experience the haunting for themselves. Each evening, the restaurant became a gathering place for those curious about the supernatural, with many hoping to witness something otherworldly. Numerous visitors have reported strange images, unexplainable sounds, and even tiny handprints on the windows. The story of the ghostly woman continues to circulate, making Spaghetti Warehouse one of the most haunted destinations in Texas. A reminder of sorrow. Today, while the restaurant operates normally, stories of the woman's spirit still linger in the hearts of patrons and staff. They know that something mysterious unfolds within the aged walls of the restaurant. And the restless souls remain, watching over the establishment, waiting for their stories to be heard. A visit to Spaghetti Warehouse is not just a delightful meal, it's a journey into the past, where pain and loss are forever intertwined. The spirits that inhabit this place serve as reminders of the sacrifices made and the love that transcends even death, a love that has yet to find peace. The haunted cemetery of Martha's Chapel. Martha's Chapel Cemetery, located in Walker County, Texas, is a small, Isolated burial ground surrounded by dense forests. With its old tombstones and overgrown paths. This cemetery is the final resting place for many early settlers and their families. However, the cemetery is also known for something much darker, the ghosts and strange phenomena that have been reported over the years. Visitors to the cemetery have reported seeing shadowy figures moving between the gravestones. And some have even heard disembodied voices calling their names from the darkness. Yet the most famous apparition at Martha's Chapel is that of a little girl who is said to wander the cemetery at night. Her sorrowful cries echoing through the trees. A haunting encounter. One night, a group of teenagers, Mia, Tom, Sarah, and Jake, decided to visit the cemetery. Drawn in by the stories of paranormal activity, they arrived just after midnight, their flashlights cutting through the thick darkness. As they strolled through the cemetery, an uneasy feeling began to envelop the group, the atmosphere grew heavy. And an eerie silence settled around them, broken only by the sound of their footsteps on the damp ground. Suddenly, Mia pointed into the distance, exclaiming, "Look over there." They saw a small, pale figure weaving between the gravestones. They called out, but the figure did not respond. As they approached, they realized it was a little girl in a white dress, her face obscured by long, dark hair. She seemed to be searching for something. Moving slowly and cautiously, the group stood frozen, holding their breath as they watched the girl continue her walk among the tombstones. Her form appeared almost translucent under the faint moonlight. But as they got closer, she abruptly stopped and turned to face them. Her empty, soulless eyes locked onto theirs, and her face twisted into an expression of deep sorrow. A frightening escape. The group was filled with terror and turned to run, not stopping until they were safely inside their car. Speeding away from the cemetery, they exchanged horrified glances, each of them trying to process what they had just witnessed. As they drove away, images of the little girl haunted their minds. "What just happened?" Sarah gasped, her voice shaking. "I can't believe we saw her." When they finally returned home, none of them could sleep. The stories about the little girl's spirit at Martha's Chapel had become their reality. They vowed never to return, certain that the tales of the haunted cemetery were true, and that the little girl's spirit still wandered, eternally searching for peace. The legend lives on. Since that night, the story of the teenagers and their frightening encounter has become part of local folklore. Others who have visited the cemetery began sharing their own strange experiences. Some claimed to have heard the girl's cries in the wind, while others recounted glimpsing her small figure darting between the tombstones. Martha's Chapel is no longer just a burial ground. It has become a place where the past and present intersect, where the spirits of those who have passed still linger in the memories of the living. The ghosts they felt were not merely legends but poignant reminders of the pain and loss experienced by those who once lived and died here. A legacy of haunting. As time goes on, the tales of Martha's Chapel continue to thrive in the hearts of locals. Parents often warn their children about the strange happenings at the cemetery. And the story of the crying girl is passed down from generation to generation. Every time someone dares to stroll through the cemetery at night, they feel as though they are being watched or hear echoes of sorrow in the air. These stories only add to the allure of the place, making it one of the most haunted locations in Texas. Ultimately, Martha's Chapel has become a must-visit site for those who love to explore the mysterious and seek supernatural experiences. The spirits continue to roam, waiting for those who are brave enough to come close and listen to their stories. Here, pain and loss will never be forgotten. The Dark Man of Texas State University. Texas State University, located in San Marcos, Texas, is renowned for its beautiful campus and vibrant student life. However, beneath that bright surface lies a dark history, where haunting ghost stories have emerged. Among the many tales associated with the university, the most frightening is the legend of the Dark Man, an evil entity believed to haunt the historic Old Main building. Old Main, the beginning of the legend. Old Main, with its Victorian Gothic architecture, stands as one of the oldest and most iconic structures on campus. Its intricate designs and towering spires once symbolized the university's growth and ambition. However, as the years passed, the building's grandeur began to fade. The once pristine wooden planks creaked ominously underfoot, and the railings showed signs of rot from years of neglect. Despite its dilapidated state, Old Main remained a central hub of activity, hosting lectures, events, and late-night study sessions. It was within these walls that the legend of the Dark Man began to take root. Countless strange occurrences have been reported in Old Main over the decades. Disembodied voices echo through the halls, unexplained cold spots chill the air, and students have claimed to see fleeting shadows darting out of the corner of their eyes. Yet, the most terrifying reports come from those who have encountered the Dark Man, a tall, shadowy figure that appears without warning, instilling overwhelming fear in anyone who crosses his path. Sarah's fateful encounter. One chilly October night, Sarah, a diligent and ambitious student, found herself burning the midnight oil in a secluded classroom within Old Main. Her essay, due the next day, demanded her full attention. The building was eerily quiet, the only sounds being the soft hum of her desk lamp and the distant rustling of leaves outside. As Sarah continued typing, she suddenly felt the temperature drop sharply. As if a cold draft had swept through the room, she glanced around, attributing the sensation to her imagination or perhaps a draft from a nearby window. Determined to stay focused, Sarah resumed her work. However, the feeling of being watched lingered, growing more intense with each passing minute. Her eyes darted to the hallway, where shadows played tricks on her vision. She thought she saw movement out of the corner of her eye and looked up, expecting to see another student. To her horror, the hallway was completely empty. A sense of unease settled over Sarah as she tried to dismiss the unsettling feelings. Deciding it was time to call it a night, she began packing her belongings. Just as she reached for her backpack, she felt a presence block her path. Turning slowly, Sarah came face to face with the Dark Man. He stood at the doorway, an imposing figure cloaked in darkness, his form barely distinguishable against the dimly lit corridor. The room seemed to grow colder, the air thick with fear. Sarah's heart raced, and she struggled to find her voice. The Dark Man remained motionless, his presence overwhelming and suffocating. Desperate to escape, Sarah grabbed her backpack and fled the room, her footsteps echoing loudly in the silent building. She sprinted down the hallway, feeling invisible hands reach out to pull her back. Ignoring the paralyzing fear, she pushed past the dark figure and dashed out of Old Main, the night air hitting her like a wave of relief. Aftermath and lingering fear. Shaken by her experience, Sarah vowed never to return to Old Main after dark. Her story quickly became one of the many ghostly legends whispered among students at Texas State University. The Dark Man seemed to linger, hidden in the shadows, waiting for his next victim. Sarah's encounter resonated deeply within the student community, adding another layer to the mysterious aura surrounding Old Main. Over the years, similar stories have surfaced. Students report feeling sudden drops in temperature, hearing footsteps where no one else is, and seeing shadowy figures fleeting through the corridors. Some claim to hear the Dark Man's silent footsteps behind them during late-night study sessions, while others have witnessed his silhouette standing silently at the end of a hallway, watching them with his empty, lifeless eyes. Paranormal investigations and evidence. The notoriety of the Dark Man attracted the attention of paranormal investigators and ghost hunters eager to uncover the truth behind the legends. Equipped with cameras, audio recorders, and other ghost hunting tools, these brave individuals set out to document the supernatural phenomena reported by locals. One such group was led by Emily and Jake, two siblings with a passion for the paranormal. Determined to prove or debunk the stories surrounding the Dark Man, they decided to spend a night in Old Main during the peak of the Halloween season. As midnight approached, the atmosphere around the building grew heavy with anticipation. The forest surrounding the campus fell silent, and the only sounds were the gentle rustling of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. Setting up their equipment in an empty classroom, Emily and Jake began their vigil. As the clock struck 12, the temperature inside the room plummeted, their breaths visible in the dim light of their flashlights. Suddenly, the radio in Jake's recorder began to crackle, emitting faint, indistinct whispers that seemed to emanate from all around them. They followed the sound to a secluded part of the building, where the temperature dropped even further. Emily's flashlight flickered, casting fleeting shadows that danced menacingly across the wooden planks. Without warning, a blood-curdling scream pierced the night, echoing the tragic cries from decades past. The siblings froze, their hearts pounding in their chests. Jake pointed his camera towards the source of the noise, capturing a fleeting image of a pale, ghostly figure standing at the edge of the hallway. The figure seemed to look directly at them, his eyes hollow and pleading. Before they could react, the apparition dissolved into thin air, leaving behind an oppressive silence that pressed down on them. Terrified but undeterred, Emily and Jake continued their investigation, hoping to capture more evidence. Hours passed with no further incidents, and as dawn approached, they decided to pack up and leave. As they drove away from Old Main, the building seemed to exhale a final, sorrowful sigh, leaving them with more questions than answers about the true nature of the Dark Man. Local legends and continued fear. The legend of the Dark Man only grew stronger with time. New stories emerged from every generation, each adding layers to his haunted reputation. Parents warned their children about lingering near Old Main after dark, urging them to respect the spirits of those who had lost their lives there. Teenagers would dare each other to spend the night in Old Main, only to return in the early hours with tales of strange noises and inexplicable sensations. Some believed that the spirits of the teenagers were trapped between the physical world and the afterlife, their souls unable to find peace. Others thought that Old Main itself was cursed, a place where the boundary between life and death was unnaturally thin. Regardless of the explanations, the Dark Man remained a source of fear and fascination, a testament to the tragic events that had unfolded there and the lingering presence of those who had perished. Modern-day encounters. In recent years, technological advancements have allowed for more sophisticated investigations into the paranormal activities within Old Main. High-definition cameras and infrared sensors have been installed by enthusiasts, aiming to capture definitive proof of the supernatural. Despite their efforts, the evidence remains inconclusive, adding to the mystery and allure of the Dark Man. One modern-day encounter involves a woman named Laura, a software engineer with a keen interest in the paranormal. Intrigued by the stories, Laura decided to visit Old Main alone one quiet evening. As she walked along the wooden planks, she felt an overwhelming sense of sadness and despair. Her phone's flashlight flickered, and she began to hear faint whispers that seemed to come from all around her. Determined to document her experience, Laura started recording a video. Suddenly, the air grew cold, and her breath became visible in the dim light of her flashlight. She noticed a shadowy figure standing at the end of the hallway, its presence both terrifying and sorrowful. The figure raised a hand in a silent plea, its eyes meeting hers with a haunting emptiness. Before Laura could react, the apparition vanished, leaving her alone with the echoing screams that lingered in the night air. Shaken but resolute, Laura shared her footage online, where it quickly went viral, further cementing the Dark Man's status as one of Texas's most haunted legends. Her experience resonated with countless others who had felt Old Main's eerie presence, reinforcing the belief that the spirits of the past were still very much alive within the university grounds. A place of memory and mystery, Old Main serves as both a memorial to the lives lost in tragic circumstances and a beacon for those fascinated by the unknown. The blend of historical significance and supernatural lore makes it a unique and compelling site, drawing visitors from near and far who seek to connect with the past and perhaps catch a glimpse of the lingering spirits. Community efforts to preserve Old Main have included regular maintenance and safety upgrades, ensuring that the building remains a functional part of the university's infrastructure. However, the stories and legends continue to thrive, passed down through generations as a cautionary tale of what lurks beneath the surface of everyday life. Conclusion: a terrifying and enduring legacy. The Dark Man of Texas State University stands as a haunting reminder of the tragic events that unfolded within Old Main. It is a place where the past and present collide, where the whispers of lost souls echo through the night, and where the line between reality and the supernatural blurs into an unsettling gray. Whether you believe in ghosts or remain skeptical, the stories surrounding Old Main are impossible to ignore, captivating the imagination and instilling a sense of respect for the lives that were lost and the spirits that are said to linger. For those who dare to visit, Old Main offers more than just a historic building. It offers a glimpse into a world beyond our understanding, where tragedy and the supernatural intertwine to create a legacy of fear and fascination. As the sun sets and darkness envelops the building once more, the legends of the Dark Man continue to thrive, ensuring that Texas State University's most haunted landmark remains a source of intrigue and terror for years to come. The mysterious stories of Texas are not just folk legends but an integral part of the cultural identity of this state. Each ghost, each strange phenomenon carries with it a narrative of the past, reminding us of the sorrows, joys, and memories that have come before. While they may evoke fear, these tales add a unique charm to Texas, making it a destination not only for exploring natural beauty but also for uncovering inexplicable mysteries. As night falls, the flickering lights from street lamps, the whisper of the wind through ancient trees, and the stillness of the air create an atmosphere thick with intrigue. The haunted stories of Texas will continue to endure, reminding us that the past never truly disappears, it always exists alongside us, waiting to be retold, awaiting those brave enough to explore the enigmas hidden within this land. Texas is not just a state, it is a journey through time, where every story carries a vibrant life of its own, blending reality with the supernatural, ensuring that anyone who steps foot here will never forget their experience.